Hello and welcome to the channel. This is going to be a multi-part series of videos on my review of the Canyon Ultimate CF SL Disc 8.0 Di2 Aero. So first off, I'm going to start with some general information about the bike and how it handles, and some of the basic modifications that I made on it. And then I'm going to include a series of maybe 4 other videos on very specific mods and changes that I added or made to the bike. So one of the first things I did was to install the Shimano climbing shifters for Di2. So there were some slight issues with that, so that would be raised in one of the videos. And the next thing I did on the bike was regarding the pretty good Mavic Cosmic Pro UST disc wheels. And I'll tell you a little bit about how I did some changes to these wheels to make them lighter and more comfortable. And the next video I'm going to do is on the wireless unit for this bike. And so where's the wireless unit? It's actually hidden right about here. So this is the wireless unit right here, and this allows the Di2 system, to communicate with not only the Garmin but also to my smartphone to do changes. So I'll explain a little bit about that. And the final thing on the bike is the final video on the bike is going to be about the left side power meter that I installed on the bike, and it's right over here. You can't really see it, but this is the power meter right here, and I'm going to tell you all about this power meter if it can get into focus. It can't, but anyway, we'll get into that a little bit later. So okay, first things about the bike. When did I receive this bike? I received this bike on 27th of June, and it was purchased stock as is, importantly, from the Canyon's online factory outlet. All right, so it's from a factory outlet. So this bike may have been returned. It may have had a slight blemish on it, but Canyon still warranties it for the full 2 years. And it came in as good as new. I could not spot anything wrong with this bike at all, except for some tiny little scratches somewhere down here. All right, but other than that, it was all good. So how much did this bike weigh? How much did the bike weigh? The bike, without the accessories, but with the Garmin and GoPro mounts, the light mounts, the water bottle cages, and the pedals, was 7.9 kilos. So this is more or less in line with the website, which stated 7.7 kilos bare. That's pretty reasonable and in line with the website. Now the bike fully loaded with accessories like lights, toolkit in a bottle, the pedals, which are Ultegra pedals, 6800 Ultegra pedals, the Garmin head unit 520, the GoPro, the whole bike, including 500 mils of water with the water bottle and a toolkit in the other second bottle cage, came up to 9.17 kg. Interestingly, for the front wheel, running completely tubeless, is 1.27 kilos. And if you include the through axle, it's 1.36 kilos. And for the rear wheel, including the cassette, was 1.7 kilos. And with the cassette and the through axle included, was 1.76 kilos. Now, so far I've done about 300 km on this bike. Let me talk about the good. This bike rides really well. What can I say? There's so many reviews out there about how comfortable, how stiff at the same time, how responsive the Canyon Ultimate bikes are. No issue with that. Fantastic. I have had a Canyon Ultimate CF SLX 8.0 Di2 with the caliper brakes, rim brakes from the last version, running the Di2 6870 group set. And that was fantastic, but I was itchy for a disc brake bike, and I managed to sell my previous bike, and I got this bike with the disc brakes, and it has the same responsiveness, but actually it's a little bit more comfortable. I think that's due to the great wheels that this bike comes with. It's 28 millimeter Mavic tires, running tubeless with sealant, so that is really very comfortable, running at lower pressures, and I'll talk all about that in the video covering the wheels. The shifting on the Di2 is as crisp and sharp as ever, never ever misses a shift, and I've never ever dropped the chain. On the previous bike with the Di2 and on this version of the Di2, never missed a shift. Fantastic. The disc brakes, what can I say? They are absolutely awesome. My previous bike, I used to have Zip 303 Firecrest tubeless with Swiss Stop yellow carbon specific brake pads, and honestly they were crap in terms of stopping power. And if they ever got wet or damp, completely useless. So these disc brakes inspire confidence and offer great modulation, as many reviewers have previously mentioned. So gives you confidence when you need the stopping power, when you're coming down hills and slopes, when you're sprinting in a bunch and you need to make adjustments in your speed. This is just fantastic. Now, what about the Di2 system? The batteries. I received this bike about a month and a half ago, and I did not charge the Di2 battery since I received the bike, and the battery now is still at 70%. How do I know? Well, that's because I installed the Di2 wireless unit, which is somewhere here, right? Which is here. Installed this unit, and this talks to the Garmin, and the Garmin, I can set it up to display the battery power in the bike. All right, so and it's still at 70%. In my old bike running the old Di2 system, I charged the bike roughly 4 times a year, and I expect to be doing around the same for this bike. And I'll explain more about the Di2 system and the wireless unit in another video. Now, what about the bad? Okay, so this is it. Well, basically when I sold my previous bike, I was without a bike. So I went online and I went to look at the Canyon website, not really intending to buy a bike immediately. But when I stumbled upon this bike on the factory outlet site, in my size and in this color, which I was looking at, and I did not have to wait because it was already in the factory outlet, I said, I got to get this bike. And so in my haste to order this bike, I forgot to order the out front mount for the Garmin. I forgot to put that in together with the order. So this one right here, this is an aftermarket one. All right, but I discovered my error because, you know, it's that mount is specific to this bike, to this handlebar. So I discovered this a day later, but the bike had already shipped. So what I do, I corresponded with Canyon and told them that, hey, you know, in my haste to order the bike, I forgot to order the Garmin mount. Would you consider waiving the shipping and I'll still pay for the mount? Well, the answer I received was that they were experiencing a high volume of communications. They couldn't answer, but please be patient. 4 or 5 days later, when I received this bike, in the evening after I received the bike, I received an email stating that no, the shipping cost is very expensive and they would not be able to waive the charges for the shipping, and instead suggested that I should ship it to a European address. Hello, I live in Singapore. How is that a good solution for me? And all this was in spite of me letting Canyon know that I was a repeat customer. I had bought directly from them a Canyon Ultimate bike before this one, and this is my second order. Yeah, they're not obligated to give me anything for free, and I totally understand that. But in terms of goodwill, I didn't receive very much from Canyon. Everything was just business. All right, so that's the not too good thing. So how did I eventually end up with this mount? Very inexpensive. I basically got it from Aliexpress. A good quality aluminum Garmin GoPro mount. Comes with the GoPro mount already installed. How much did it cost me? Singapore dollars, $14.42. This is less than $10.50 US, shipped to my doorstep, and it's compatible. Now, if you were to forget like I did and try to order this from AliExpress, you have to be careful what type of out front mount you order, because this handlebar, this integrated handlebar from Canyon, uses the new Di2 system. The new Di2 system has the charging port over here. No longer is there a charging port under the handlebar. So this handlebar is created without a slot for the junction box right here. So they can make this handlebar a little bit lighter. But then the mounting for the Garmin mount is different. So this one is just 2 screws in line just under here. So you've got to order the right thing. The other type of handlebar has a screw here and a screw here because the junction box fits in the middle on the underside. So that's basically it. The other mods I did was because I had to put this in, I redid the tape and I changed it to white because to match my white seat. Now, what about this seat? This seat I also got from AliExpress. It is a knockoff Specialized S-Works tube with carbon rails. And so the thing to note about this seat is cost me less than 30 Singapore dollars, which is about 22 US dollars, something like that. Yeah, the thing about this, you don't want to over tighten or over torque this carbon seat rail. So what I did was I put some of the leftover carbon paste over here and torqued it to about 4 Newton meters, and it has held up really good. This seat is super light. I swapped out got the Physique Antares saddle, which was pretty light too, but I was used to having a seat with this cutout. My previous bike had a specialized Tube Expert seat, so that was really good. But this is an even lighter seat because the shell is totally carbon fiber, and with just a thin foam and a vinyl covering, which seems to be very nicely glued down and minimalist, and still the sit bone area here is very comfortable. Very comfortable. Is this seat as refined as the original? No, I don't think Specialized actually makes this model anymore. So you can see some slight blemish over here. It's not evenly filed in. Same thing over here, but serves the purpose. Very, very light, very comfortable. It's great. So, okay, tune in as I talk a little bit more about the other 4 modifications I've done with the bike. That will be posted up pretty soon. Thank you very much.